I almost sold my camera one night. I was sitting in my dimly lit and very depressing room, scrolling through a memory card that was full of photos that just didn't really feel like me. The composition of all of these images were just all off. The lighting fell flat. The colors lacked emotion. Shot after shot, all I could see were mistakes, failures captured in pixels. I exhaled, frustrated. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. That thought lingered for a while. It was heavy and it was convincing. You can relate to this, I'm sure. I poured time and effort and passion into this. Yet there I was, staring at a screen full of uninspired images, feeling like an imposter. And that's when the whisper came. Just quit. I almost listened. I almost put this camera down for good. But instead, I did something else. I took a risk. I grabbed my camera. I stepped outside. No plan, no expectations, just a silent dare to myself. Take one more shot. A friend of mine invited me to shoot her book signing event. I was so insecure about it. But when I showed up, there was a cultural festival going on in the park. I heard music. It was bold. It was rhythmic. It was alive. And then I saw them. A group of these folkloric Mexican dancers twirled across the stage, their vibrantly embroidered skirts slicing through the air like painted brushstrokes. Their smiles, they were unbelievable. There was so much joy, and it was so effortless. It was so unburdened that I felt something stir in me. I hesitated, of course. This was a moment, though, the kind that demanded to be captured, but doubt crept in. What if I ruin the shot? What if I miss it? Then I did what every artist must do in these moments. I took the risk. Click. The shutter snapped, and the world slowed for just a second. I glanced at my LCD, expecting to see actually just another lifeless frame, to be honest with you. But this time, something was different. The motion of the skirts that were frozen in midair, as you can see in this image, the radiant joy on the dancers' faces. Can you see them? The vibrant chaos of colors against this deep blue background, it was alive. Something inside me cracked open. This wasn't just a picture. It was a movement, emotion, a story that was waiting to be told. And suddenly, the frustration from earlier, it just didn't matter as much. I kept shooting. I kept adjusting. I kept leaning into the rhythm of the moment. The fear of failure melted away, replaced by something stronger. Faith. Faith that my instincts weren't wrong. Faith that I could capture emotion, not just images. Faith that my creative voice wasn't lost. It was just buried under doubt. I no longer worried about technical perfection. I let go of the need to control every detail. I simply trusted the process. And that trust actually gave me something even greater, because it doesn't stop there. As I lowered the camera, I felt it. Hope. Not just in the image that I had captured, though, but in myself, in me. See, hope reminded me that the process wasn't about getting the perfect shot every time. It was about having the courage to take it. It was about risking. It was about failing. It was about adjusting and pressing forward. That is what I call the hope cycle. Risk, change, faith, hope. Every time that I pick up my camera now, every single time I go out to take some shots, I remember that moment. I remember that moment, the twirling skirts, the radiant smiles, the feeling of almost quitting. That's really important. And then I remind myself, the only way forward, Carlos, is through the lens of hope. And this is what I think it all starts with. I think it starts with risk, which I think is the threshold of growth. Everything, I think, begins with risk. Not reckless, mindless risk, but the kind that asks this: what would happen if I tried, if I pushed forward, if I stepped outside of my comfort zone? To me, risk means putting your work out there, even when you're fearful of rejection. Risk means starting the project, even when you doubt yourself. Risk means experimenting, even when you don't know if it's going to work. You see, I think most of us avoid risk because we think failure is worse than standing still. But here's the truth. Stagnation is the real failure. Creativity thrives in motion, as I've mentioned before, and risk is the price of entry. And then there's change, the catalyst for progress. You see, every risk leads to change. It doesn't matter if you succeed or fail. If you take action, something shifts, doesn't it? You grow, you learn, you adapt. You take a risk on a new technique. What happens? And suddenly, your creativity feels fresh again. You put yourself out there. And even if it's not perfect, you realize, I survived. I can do this. You try something different. And whether it works or not, you've expanded your skills. Change is proof that you're not static. It's proof that you are becoming. And then there's faith, the anchor in uncertainty. With change comes uncertainty. This, I believe, is where faith comes in. And again, this is not blind optimism, but faith in the process, faith that the effort is shaping you, even if you don't see immediate results. Faith says this failure is teaching me something. Faith says my work has value, even if it's not recognized yet. Faith says if I keep showing up, growth is inevitable. You see, without faith, the cycle breaks. This is where most creators, I believe, most of us quit. It's when we can't see the progress. It's when the doubt gets louder than the vision. But if we hold on to faith, something powerful happens. Hope, the game changer. Hope changes everything. It turns struggle into fuel. It turns effort into purpose. It turns why even try into I'm building something that matters. You see, hope, it rewires our mindset from fear of failure to excitement for what's next. Hope transforms obstacles into opportunities. Hope reminds us that even when it feels like we're going nowhere, every step forward is shaping us. And here's the secret. Hope doesn't just sit there. It actually fuels the next risk. The cycle continues. You see, the beauty of the hope cycle is not that it's a one-time thing. Risk leads to change. Change builds faith. Faith produces hope. Hope gives you the courage to risk and change again. Each time you go stronger. Each time you gain clarity. Each time you break free from the doubt that once held you back. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're on the edge of quitting, I encourage you to ask yourself this: where am I in the hope cycle? Maybe it's time to take a risk. Maybe it's time to trust the process. Maybe it's time to remember why you started. I think the creators who make it are not the most talented, and they're not the most lucky. They are the ones who keep suiting up and showing up over and over. Risk, change, faith, hope. And then do it again. Now go. Create, even when you're afraid. Move forward, even when you doubt. The cycle will carry you if you let it.